Hi, my name is Daniel Morris and I'm from the Infrastructure Solutions Group, or ISG, from Lenovo here in Australia. I'm based up in Brisbane and I look after our software-defined and HCI business here locally. So today we're just going to go through, I guess at the beginning, a little bit of why Lenovo, some of the offerings we're bringing to market, and at the end of it I'll go through some of the products that I look after, especially around HCI and how that fits in with our hybrid cloud strategy. Now, I'm trying to time it so that the why Lenovo bit will be about 9 to 10 minutes long. So if you know that bit already, you can just fast forward to there. So I'll try my best to hit that. But let's get started. Now, this will be news probably to a lot of you, and it may not seem like it's that important, but from a Lenovo perspective, it's been two businesses for quite a while. Our device business, think of it, laptops, desktops, the rest of it, and then our enterprise business that was brought across from IBM about 6 years ago now. So what's happening is now there's a merging of the two, I guess, entities into this one Lenovo. It's always been one Lenovo, but now what you're going to see is us working more closely together from all the way from edge to core to cloud. You've heard that saying, I'm sure, heaps of times during your sessions here, but this is, as a device manufacturer, as a hardware manufacturer, this is one of our key advantages in the market. Is we can, and we're actually the only one now that can go from devices like a handset, like a phone, through to like headsets, devices, monitors, up into enterprise, and then through into the networking, into the cloud piece with our new CSP offering, and also our as a service offerings that we bring to the market. So this one Lenovo for an end user, for the consumer, actually will help you when we can look at your problems and the things you're trying to solution around as a single entity. So that's going to be a good thing. In particular, our services and our smart verticals and services org there will be one across the two orgs. Now, what that means is we're going to market with this 3S strategy. So smart IoT, smart infrastructure, and the smart vertical, which is things like healthcare, telco, and obviously the hyperscalers, which is like the cloud providers. Where ISG, my part of the business, sits is the smart infrastructure piece. So, right, but they're all linked together. And so when you look at that smart infrastructure, these are the 4 pillars that we are going to focus on as an organisation. So if you do have questions, if you have problems pop up and you think it fits into one of these, we definitely can have a conversation and see if Lenovo can help. But you can see there, cloud computing, I mean, cloud is in our DNA. We've been saying that for years. We provide hardware to most of the hyperscalers in the environment, but analytics and AI, we're number one in HPC. We've just released a turnkey solution that we can give to researchers called GOAST, GOAST, where basically they've got a supercomputer. They can do genome mapping and analysis by themselves. That's come to market. We have got partnerships with NVIDIA and obviously AMD and Intel, very, very strong there. But then in my part of the business, especially the edge. So now we're looking at hybrid cloud. Now we're looking at having workloads go across. And this is something that everyone's been talking about for a while, but that edge piece has been difficult to do. And so with some of the solutions I'm going to show you in a second, this is where Lenovo, as an infrastructure maker, right, we make the hardware, is we can partner with the best software and services in the market and turn it into solutions, which is what we're trying to do. And then finally, as a service, everyone wants to have things, well, as a service, OPEX rather than CAPEX. Now, they say that, does it eventuate like that? But there's different ways that we can tackle a solution. So on our IDG side, so Intelligent Devices Group side, we have a thing called Desktop as a Service now, where companies are outsourcing their entire fleets of devices, monitors, the whole lot, even meeting rooms to Lenovo, and it's managed end to end. We're bringing that same mindset into the infrastructure side. So think things like Nutanix and VMware or private cloud or what have you, where we're able to deliver that as a service. And I've got an example coming out where we're doing VDI as a service, where you just pay per user per month, right? Now, you can see there the three verticals. There's the IoT part, which the end devices, the cameras, the sensors, bits and pieces. We are going to be more back up the stack a bit, where you can see there the distributed edge. So all these devices are creating data. How do we use it? What's the pipeline to be able to either react to the data and the instances that they're having at the edge, and then how do I bring back what's important to me back into either my core data center or out into the cloud? And that's the solutions with our HCI and our hybrid cloud solutions. That's where we're aiming. And you can see there, obviously, core IT, it's still a majority of our business is still the stock standard. I want to run VMware, I want to run Hyper-V or Nutanix, and I need to run VMs. Those conversations are moving more into how can I prepare myself for the future by whether it's containerization, whether it's just a case of I need to be able to manage multiple sites all holistically as if they're one, and that's where we're spending a lot of time focusing. You can see there in the middle there, the 5G rollout. Lenovo now has its entire vertical dedicated to telcos, right? So we see that as a massive growth area where there's going to be solutions that we don't even know about now pop up in the next couple of years because 5G is going to enable them, right? Whether it's the 5G that we talk about on our phones or whether organizations build their own 5G network on premises to do more real-time analytics. So again, so this is the smart infrastructure side. On the right is where we're looking to play, where we've got edge devices. They can be mounted on walls. They can deal in really hot environments. We're coming out with fanless units as well. So and also then the infrastructure, so the software behind it to manage it at scale. And then obviously it plugs in with our alliances, and when we're doing our joint engineering with the likes of Microsoft and VMware and Nutanix, even NetApp, is how do we, as the infrastructure provider, extend their reach, extend their capability out into the edge. In terms of why Lenovo, so customer centric, it is very important for us, to keep our customers happy as best we can. But in terms of the infrastructure, we are the most reliable. So in terms of x86, we've been the most reliable now for 8 years from some independent surveys, and that comes from the legacy and the heritage we brought over from IBM, the engineering, and the fact that we're still the only tier 1 hardware vendor now that still makes their own hardware, right? So that's something to keep in mind as I guess resiliency, reliability, and also knowing where the things you bought have come from is going to be really important. As far as open, this is really important for me. We don't necessarily own any of these software packages. We are open to whatever is the best in the market. So we can pivot and go with, hey, there's a new player in the market. We think that is a good fit for people. We can set up an alliance and work with them, as opposed to, hey, we bought this 3 years ago. We need to maximize the output from it. I'm going to force this down my customer's throat no matter what. And so that's what we're starting to see with some of our competitors. But with Secure, a lot of people look at us as a Chinese company. We're actually not. But because of that mindset, we've had to go through and document, itemize, and lock down our supply chain. So we actually have a fully auditable supply chain, all the way from the factory all the way to when it gets delivered to you. So we know who put what inside servers, and we've also had security in terms of firmware and who has had access and could have been exposed to certain components. We actually manufacture a lot of our stuff outside of China. So when it comes to government workloads, think of Australia's largest HPC, which runs on Lenovo. That was manufactured entirely outside of China and built in Belgium, for example. And then sustainable, Lenovo has a really large focus now on being sustainable and renewable in terms of whether it's power, whether it's some of our solutions that uses hot water cooling inside the servers, down to our packaging and the way that we manufacture and using AI and some of our eat your own dog food, where we can minimize the amount of transporting we're doing of equipment and shipping it around and reducing that carbon footprint, which is obviously we make so many devices. This is a big factor we need to think about. In terms of the solutions, I won't go through these too much. They're all on the Lenovo.com website, but we've really specialised here locally in hyperconverged, so HCI, in HPC, IoT, and Edge. Right, that's the key things. And then you see there on the solutions, we've just released this, like I said, desktop as a service, but we've got key partnerships with Commvault, with Veeam, with Haiku, with a whole bunch of the backup vendors. Right, so what we can offer as if you've ever heard me talk before, it's always about HCI, but Lenovo can offer so much more. And you can see here, I won't read all these out, but this is my point about being open. We align with all of these different vendors, and for some of them, especially things like Microsoft, Nutanix and VMware, and also NetApp, where we're doing joint engineering. We're actually building products, and so especially for NetApp, we take their on-top software, we actually manufacture the hardware, right? And then here, you can see here, we've always been well known for our Nutanix relationships. What's building is our Microsoft and VMware, and you can see here we got the partner of the year award for value, and we also got the year before the best infrastructure partner for VMware. Our profile inside of VMware is growing rapidly, and we've actually onboarded a VMware focused sales guy here locally based out of Sydney, which he'll be able to help you. There you go, 10 minutes and 15 seconds, not bad, not bad. So I'm happy with that. So we'll kick on to the actual solutions themselves. Now, I've said it before, but hybrid cloud, everyone's talking about it, but if you look at where it's born from, especially from a Microsoft perspective, you know, everyone was saying, no, your workload will be in Azure forever. It's 100% Azure or AWS or Google Cloud. You will never have to have on-prem again. And now, obviously, that's flipped on its head with this whole idea of edge and AI and analytics and doing real-time video analytics and those sort of things. And then we've got on the other side, what we're all used to is VMware and Nutanix and Microsoft all looking after data center play, and also ONTAP with our DM series and NetApp is, you know, we've had the on-premise workloads. Now, how do we get out to the cloud? So now we've got the cloud providers realizing they need to be on-prem, and you've got all the on-prem guys wanting to have the hybrid story. And so the good news for Lenovo is we sit in the middle for both, right? So obviously, like I said before, we provide to the hyperscalers, but we also create the hardware, and we have the partnerships with the companies on the left there to try and build this dream of what is hybrid, and try and be as flexible as we move along with these solutions. In terms of the HCI Magic Quadrant, you can see it there. Nutanix and VMware are far and away the leaders. Microsoft is gaining quite quickly, actually. But then there's a couple other ones there in that blue box. Now, that blue box, back to the open thing, is all of the vendors that Lenovo supports on our hardware, right? So you can sort of see everything in that's slightly in the top right, we have a partnership for, and this is I think is a really good advantage. If you come and work with us, we've got myself, there's a guy called Charlie Lawford, who's our national technical guy, there's John Wu, there's Nick Milsom, who's our VMware guy, like I mentioned, and then we've got all the technical guys around the country, as well as the worldwide people that we can leverage. And of course, right, we are a major partner of Data3s, and so we've got people inside Data3 that can help you sell and buy Lenovo solutions, right? So it's more of a holistic view of it. Hey, what's the problem we're trying to solve, and then working our way back. Now, you can see there in the bottom left there, we've just announced support for the new AMD chips on all of our platforms, and we've also now about to release the Ice Lake models for all the new models as well, right? So there's going to be a change in CPU in Intel land, and so especially what that's going to bring to us is a lot more options around GPU, which is what a lot of people need in these solutions now. In terms of an example of solution, this is brand new. We only launched it last week, and this is it's a hosted desktop solution. That's fine. Lots of people have got that. You actually can go to the cloud and get that now, to be honest. But what we've done, and this comes back to the one Lenovo I mentioned, is we've taken our IDG group, the devices group, our ISG group, which is us, the infrastructure, and we've also partnered with Nutanix and Citrix, and then wrapped it up in an as a service model using our TrueScale financing. So what we're providing effectively is a fully managed hosted VDI solution. So when I say hosted, you guys look after the kit. They might be in your data center or somewhere else, but when we look after the rest. And so what you get is an outcome. And so we can give you a per user per month price for the solution. It's all, we've got reference architectures for it, and then there's a case of how many users have you got, 100, 500, 2,000, and then we can solution from there. But this is a real step up from us, where now it's because we're providing the end devices as well, whereas laptops, I think on the next slide you can see it there, ThinkPad, we've got workstations, we've got standalone desktops, and then we like I said, we mix it together. So the idea of it, this is a proper solution, right? So you come to me and go, hey, I've got 300 users, I need VDI, and then I can give it to you per user per month. So this is actually a really good advantage for us in the market, especially with our partners in Nutanix. For VX is our VMware product. We're seeing an incredible growth in the platform, but also in the relationship with VMware across Australia and New Zealand and worldwide. You saw the awards we won. But in terms of what we're providing, because it's vSAN on top of our server, but then like I said, we have the engineering that goes on top, and what you're going to see from us in the next couple of months is a bunch of announcements around how that now will become a turnkey appliance, right? So it won't just be a case of, hey, it's a server with vSAN on top, and then we've got some integration between our out-of-band management, like our xClarity, which is how we manage our firmware, a plugin like that. And now it's going to be much more holistic. Think of some of the solutions maybe some of our competitors have had and maybe haven't kept developing. We're looking to take that to the next level in terms of automated deployment, deployment over multiple sites, all turnkey out of the factory. So that's going to be a big advantage for us coming soon. And we've also got, and it's probably, well, if any of you need this workload, please ping me, because it's a bit specific, but we now have released a 8-socket server that supports vSAN, right? It's a VX server, and it's certified for SAP HANA. And you can see there we can have up to a 12 terabyte single database across the nodes. So that's, I mean, it's an industry first. I haven't had to deal with it here locally yet, but if you are looking at running SAP HANA and you want to have it virtualized for flexibility, ease of management, all especially things like firmware management and having the resiliency that vSAN builds into the product, this actually would be a good thing to look at. Now we already have 2 and 4 socket solutions, but this is the first one that's come out with 8. Now finally, we've got a product called Think Agile MX. This is Azure Stack HCI. You may have heard Microsoft in the market or some of the other vendors talking about it. This is a big focus for us here at Lenovo because we are such large partners of Microsoft globally, right? There's all of our endpoints and desktops. We have relationships across multiple parts of the business, but with Azure Stack HCI, it's a funny one because it's been around for a while. Storage Spaces Direct has been baked into Windows for a number of years, but now Microsoft has branded it as this Azure Stack HCI. They've created a GUI interface called WAC, Windows Admin Center, so WAC, and so now all of a sudden it's competing against Nutanix and VMware because it's easy to use, it's very fast, right? And it runs your workloads, and especially if you're in a Microsoft ecosystem, especially if you're running Hyper-V already, this is the natural progression, right? To go from maybe on-prem and roll your own, even if it's a case of 3-tier, but running Hyper-V, this will be a perfect solution for that. And so you can see there, Azure Hybrid by design. I'll go into that, but you know, your Windows shop, it's perfect. Now, where the hybrid bit comes in, and the way that we explain it is, out of all the hybrid cloud solutions we've got, this is probably the most native, right? Because it's owned by Microsoft, it's made by Microsoft, and they've just released this control plane called Azure Arc, where now you'll be able to create, deploy, and manage workloads, whether it's on-prem or in Azure, using this Azure Arc service. Now, it's not a free service, but it's probably the most holistic in terms of, hey, I've created a workload, I don't care where it is, I just need to manage it and know where it is and know where it's secure. And so this is what Azure Arc is planning to do, and then that will roll into more services like database as a service. You know, you can already get backup, Azure Backup, Azure File Services, Azure AD anyway in the product, but then think about the wider Azure and what they do. This will start to plug into that. And so on the CSP, Lenovo is an indirect CSP in the market, as is Data3, but you know, we're working with the cloud vendors on their side. In the middle there, you can see MX. So we've got our Azure Stack HCI. We've also got Azure Stack Hub, which is like the big turnkey Azure rack. If you're interested in that, please let me know and I can take you through what that is. And then we've also got on the right there Azure Stack Edge, right? So it's got Azure IoT. It's like a service that runs. Like I've mentioned before, we're creating this whole stack of devices that can run at the edge, whether it's a server that can be an IoT hub, or if it's just little small resilient little IoT edge devices, which is our Think Edge portfolio. So we're working with Microsoft quite heavily around growing that ecosystem. And just here quickly, you can get 3 flavors. You can get turnkey white glove, the whole lot. We can give you a node where you bring your own license if you need to, or we can give you a spec where you can roll your own or even build your own with your existing components. We don't get a lot of the bottom one, to be honest. It's a little bit, especially if you're putting mission critical workloads on it. You want to know the vendor is supporting it and everything's been checked. So I would recommend one of the top 2. And finally, with our storage our solution, so we partner with NetApp, but we make our own hardware, right? So we call it DM, and it runs ONTAP. So this is not native NetApp, this is ONTAP on our hardware. And so you can see in the top left there, our DM series, so super fast, unified storage. If you want to do data across multi-clouds, then that is the solution for you. And we have a whole team dedicated out of New South Wales that can help you with that. And then with the DE series, these are our, I mean, you don't want to say cheap and deep, but these are our capacity units, great for HPC, great for backup, really, really aggressively priced in the market. So I just want to call that out. But we actually can have all flash, really high performance, but just it comes down to the workload. So that's a real quick snippet of Lenovo and our ISG, right? Not DCG anymore, ISG. So thank you for listening. Have a great day. See you later.